The New York Jets have made a surprising decision for their team that a lot of fans are questioning, and it definitely has Jets fans wondering, what is this team doing with their offense? While also we have another update on Garrett Wilson, as there has been a lot of talk surrounding him and the impact that a Jets rookie could have in year one, and we're going to break all that down. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Jets Digest. It's Chris and Matt here. We're going to jump right into things as always. If you guys are part of that 75% that's not subscribed to Jets Digest, make sure to subscribe. We got daily videos like this. You do not want to miss out on all the great Jets content. But let's jump into it. There is a lot to go over, as Aaron Glenn and the New York Jets have made a decision that not too many fans were expecting going in to this season. Obviously, the season's still a while away. We still need to see what everything looks like when the pads are on. But after OTAs, something became very clear for the Jets, and it was highlighted by Jets beat writer and insider Zach Rosenblatt, who mentioned that the Jets will likely use a rotation of receivers around Garrett Wilson as the wide receiver too, but the early frontrunner to take over as the number 2 receiver is the lone player on the team added this offseason who has ties to Aaron Glenn and Tanner Engstrand from Detroit. The Jets value Josh Reynolds' willingness as a blocker, and he has built a connection with Fields early on, especially on an impressive touchdown pass in the back of the end zone during Wednesday's minicamp practice. Allen Lazard appears to be behind Reynolds in the pecking order, though he'll still play a role, specifically in the running game. So, Matt, obviously going into this OTAs, going into everything here, it was unclear who the Jets wide receiver 2 would be when it just came to, it would be a committee role, but clearly there would be one guy who is getting the second highest amount of targets out of that wide receiver group. There's also a chance that Breece Hall ends up getting more targets than anyone who's not named Garrett Wilson as well. But Josh Reynolds coming out here and sort of taking that role where things stand right now. And Reynolds last year, it's surprising to see that, as he only had 13 receptions for 194 yards and 1 touchdown last year. So thus far, I don't think any of us saw this coming, and I think a lot of us are a bit concerned about this Jets receiving core in a general sense.
Well, that quote you read about how the New York Jets covet Josh Reynolds' blocking skills certainly speaks to Aaron Glenn's no block, no rock mantra. You know, if you ever needed more proof that Aaron Glenn doesn't say things just to say things, everything he says, the dude absolutely means it. When he says no block, no rock, he absolutely means it. That means not only if you don't block or you're not going to get the ball, you can also earn targets by blocking well. So guys that maybe aren't as good receivers can put extra effort forth in the run blocking game, and they can earn more targets and more touches for themselves. Looking at this New York Jets wide receiver depth chart, we were expecting that wide receiver 2 to come down to either Allen Lazard, if he was still on the team, or the free agent older signing in Josh Reynolds. So, you know, the fact that he was the second guy, as it seems to look like, is surprising. Although, if I had to put money on it, I would put the second highest receiving target this year on a breakout season for Mason Taylor at the tight end position, not necessarily a wide receiver, because we know at this stage of their careers, we know what Allen Lazard is and we know what Josh Reynolds is. And Josh Reynolds is a solid wide receiver 3-4 type guy. But if we're looking for a wide receiver 2, we should not expect him in his age 30 season, I think, to step up even farther and just be more than what he's been in the past. That's not how guys' careers work out in the NFL. You don't just break out randomly over the age of 30. So we can't expect too much out of Josh Reynolds, but something's got to shake here, because there are more targets to go around. Justin Fields can't throw the ball to Garrett Wilson on every single play, although I think both of us wish that he could. There will be more passes to go around in this offense.
I think something that this is telling of when it comes to Reynolds is a few things. One, you're 1,000,000% correct on the no block, no rock thing. Everything you said there, I couldn't agree with more. But on top of that, I think there's 2 other points here. One, really sort of 3. One, I'm not sure if Allen Lazard's going to be on this team. I'm not sure. Also, again, he commits a holding every time he blocks someone, so there's also that issue. But when it comes down to all of this, it feels like, okay, Reynolds understands what the Jets are doing here. He gets what he was signed for. He obviously knows Aaron Glenn. He knows Tanner Engstrand. The deal was definitely explained to him like, hey, we're instilling a culture the same way we did in Detroit, with Dan Campbell at the helm. We're trying to basically do the same thing here. We're trying to build this thing from the ground up, where if you get the right people in with the right mindsets, the rest is going to come, because we're treating this like a high quality organization. We're acting like a high quality football team. If we do that and we keep producing talent, and this is a Jets team that certainly has really good individual talent. I mean, catalyst of the offense, Garrett Wilson, phenomenal player. And obviously the defense as well has a ton of individual talent. Mason Taylor easily could break out. But I think Reynolds understands what's going on here, and he's fully bought into this, understanding this is the best possible thing that could have happened to his career at this point. On top of that, I think it also, we're seeing Reynolds here, because he's a veteran, he gives a fairly young offense a good vet to have around. And on top of that, this does not mean his spot is locked up at the top. I think another aspect of this is, how is rookie Arian Smith going to come out? Obviously, the Jets liked what they saw from OTAs. Again, you have to see it with the pads before anything gets really, really certain. But I think we're looking at both those two things, and also potentially Lazard not being here, as a lot of the sort of things that caused this outcome.
So, yeah, I'm glad you brought up Arian Smith, because that wide receiver role, even if Josh Reynolds is currently in first place, it's certainly still up for grabs. Back in 2020, Josh Reynolds put up 618 yards with the Rams, his most amount of yards in a season, his best statistical season that year. So that's not good enough for a wide receiver too, if he's not going to do better than that for the Jets. The door is absolutely open, no matter who is in the lead right now. Arian Smith is a speedster from Georgia. If you read his prospect profile, the cons are everything else, everything other than speed. The dude's really fast, but he can't catch, can't run routes, and that's a lot of playing wide receiver. I'm not convinced, after what I've seen in college, I'm not convinced about everything we're hearing about him with no pads on. Just like you said, he's got to put the pads on and see what he can actually do with the football when we were playing real football, not just 7-on-7 stuff, not just, little Pop Warner stuff, little summer league football type stuff, type scrimmage things. Got to see real football when it comes to Arian Smith, although it is very positive to see all of the reports coming out of camp talking about his progress.
Yeah, I think they definitely want Arian Smith to have a big role in this offense, or in the passing game specifically. Obviously they just drafted him, but I do think they want that sooner than later, based off the fact that prior to the draft, they didn't really address the wide receiver position at all with some high-level talent. They brought in Reynolds, who's going to be a good veteran to have around. They brought in Tyler Johnson, sure. They brought guys who they believe in, for one reason or another, are going to have positive impacts on this team. But also, there's another thing, and this, it feels sort of selfish and definitely not the best case scenario for a team. Selfishly, I am kind of happy to know that there's no shadow of a doubt when it comes to the passing game. This is Garrett Wilson's show, and we're living in Garrett Wilson's world right now. This is what this season is going to be when passing the ball. He's got his choice of quarterback. There is not really a wide receiver that's at all going to contest him for targets, unlike when the Jets brought in Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers' favorite target of all time, very likely. I know Jordy Nelson also had those years as well. I'm not discounting that. I'm more just saying when it speaks on who Aaron Rodgers, lived with and all that stuff. So I think that all of this is also the Jets buying in on Garrett Wilson. And there is some comments on Wilson that were brought up by both Rosenblatt and Tanner Engstrand. Now, Rosenblatt mentioned Wilson had an excellent OTAs, or was doing excellent in OTAs, I should say. Wilson is always going to stand out in this setting, and for good reason, as Rosenblatt mentioned, saying he was the best player on the field all spring practices that were open to the media. He made some highlight reel catches, rarely, if ever, dropped any of Fields' passes, and made it clear that no ball is really uncatchable as long as his quarterback can get it into his general area. One of Wilson's superpowers has always been his ability to improvise on routes in order to get open. something that was a point of contention with Aaron Rodgers. And the new staff is working to highlight that skill while also towing the line of making sure Wilson is where Fields expects him to be on any given play. And Tanner Engstrand said he's continuing to improve every single day and learn the way that we want him to run the routes all the time without taking his creativity away. Just him learning when he needs to be in certain places at certain times, because that's where the quarterback expects him to be. But yeah, he's making some catches now. He's had one the other day. He had one last week. He's clearly an elite athlete, and we're looking forwards to him continuing to get a hold and a grasp of this offense and take it to the next level. I love all that. On top of that, I love that Garrett Wilson's allowed to be creative in this offense. Obviously, this is completely quoting you. Justin Fields struggles to throw the ball with any anticipation, so there is the fear of the disconnect there. Do you have any thoughts on that?
So you mentioned how Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson weren't on the same page, and every single wide receiver, they always change their routes a little bit based on where the defense is, and the quarterback is going to have to adjust the pass to where the defense is as well. So when the quarterback and the wide receiver are on the same page and they have a lot of chemistry, that makes a huge difference. Like, look at Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. They played in college and then they played in the NFL, and that chemistry that they have with each other is so obvious. And when we look just through history with quarterbacks throwing to their favorite target, the completion percentage is always so much higher, because it's like with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, Mahomes always knows where Travis Kelce is going to be, even when the play isn't called. They know how each one of them think, and they know how each one of them is going to read the defense and where exactly Travis Kelce is going to sit down in the defense. Now, Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson could not get on the same page. We know for a fact that Justin Fields and Garrett Wilson are on the same page, so I'm excited to see how that's going to work. Garrett Wilson, when it comes to wide receivers, he is the only game in town. Think like 2 years ago when CeeDee Lamb from the Dallas Cowboys put up 1,750 yards in an absolute monster season, and they got paid as the highest paid wide receiver in football. I think we can expect the same type of season out of Garrett Wilson. A little bit less because Justin Fields obviously isn't as good as Dak Prescott, but very, very high targets coming for Garrett Wilson, and I can't wait to see how it turns out.
I feel the exact same way. Matt, very quickly, just a quick prediction of yours. Do you think we're going to get a comment from someone saying that Justin Fields is better than Dak Prescott?
Probably. I mean, if it was more hype about the Jets and we were getting more views, then definitely. Like, it might be a dead enough period of the offseason where we won't, but you never know, because Dak Prescott's one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the league for sure.
I would agree. You explained it to me well once. But guys, let us know what you think. Also, you heard Matt. Make sure to tell your friends to watch, subscribe, like these Jets Digest videos. We're coming at you every single day. You do not want to miss out all this great content. Have a great day. Go Jets.